you very much for coming out this morning to hear our presentation about managing the media landscape. My name is Jennifer Tramontana, and I have a consulting firm called the Fletcher Group, and I have been privileged to also be the Director of Communications for the NBPCA, the network-branded Prepaid Card Association, for the past few years. And we're very excited to be here today to talk a little bit about our experience with managing the media landscape. I'm also joined by a distinguished panel of presenters that I'd like to introduce to you today. And they're going to tell you some incredible case studies that they've experienced in their experiences working with the media and how their companies have sort of managed the tenuous environment that we're in. First off is Brad Russell, directly to my left here. Brad is the Corporate Communications Manager at NetSpend. He's the primary communications manager, which is for NetSpend, which is a leading issuer and pioneer in the prepaid debit card market. Brad oversees all employee and executive communications, as well as traditional PR and the company's social media outreach through Facebook, Twitter, and other platforms. Sitting next to Brad is Teri Llach. Teri is the Chief Marketing Officer at Blackhawk Network. And Blackhawk, if you don't know what they do, provides prepaid and financial payment products for consumers and businesses through their leading brand, the Gift Card Mall, and giftcardmall.com. And Teri leads all of the corporate positioning and brand communications efforts for the company, including corporate communications, social media, advertising, and promotions. And then next to Teri is Stefan Happ. And Stefan is General Manager and Vice President for U.S. gift cards for American Express. And in this role, he is responsible for the American Express prepaid card franchise in the U.S., including the American Express relationship with AEIS, a joint venture with Merits Incorporated, Web 2.0. And that's really what we're going to talk about today, and you're going to hear from our panelists some very interesting things that their companies are doing to reach people.
Media, as Jennifer just talked about, traditional media is definitely on the decline. Here are some interesting stats. The annual decline in newspaper readership is 3.5%. And the magazines on the newsstands are also seeing a significant decline in sales, 9% year over year. And these statistics, while they're interesting, as Jennifer just pointed out, we should note that traditional media is not going away. This discussion and what you'll see from my presentation is that we believe that social media should augment, not replace, your outreach to the different media outlets. For example, the network newscasts each evening at 5:30 or 6:30, depending on your time zone. Everybody talks about how they're antiquated, the viewership is going down, and while that's true to some degree, they still pull an audience of combined, all three of them, 25 to 30 million viewers a week. So that's still very powerful. But social media is here. And you either choose to engage or you choose not to engage. And as the old saying goes, doing nothing is a choice. And you can do nothing if you wish, but there's people out there talking about your company. And you can either engage and take part in that conversation or you don't. Social media is increasing and becoming more and more influential. 53% increase in the visits to social networking sites year over year. This is all according to a Pew Internet study that was just published, I believe, late last month, if I remember correctly. 350 million active Facebook users. Jump in the deep end, you have to learn how to swim. You need to figure out what's being said, who's saying it, who are the influencers, and where are they speaking. So it's important to listen. Again, before you jump in the deep end, you need to prepare. What is your objective? Do you want to do this for just reactionary purposes, crisis communications? Is it going to be a marketing tool? Is it going to be a customer service tool, proactive customer service tool? Decide what you want to achieve with this. Determine that, create a plan, and then engage. Then flip the switch. The good news is one thing that I've learned since we flipped the switch last year is you don't necessarily have to have this full blown out plan when you jump in the deep end, because inevitably it's going to change. You think you know exactly what road you're going to go down, But a city PR practitioner will tell you that the twists and the turns in that road are always unpredictable. Alona? Thank you.
Not sure it says, oh yeah, okay, great. So my first slide really says who Blackhawk is, and the reason I put this in, many of you may already know, is it's important to understand what kind of business we're in, because in the next slide I'm going to tell you that traditional media continues to be a really large part of what we do. I mean, Jennifer and Brad said it's not, it might be down, but it is not out. And we, like NetSpend, started our social media programs in 2009 to really supplement what we were doing in traditional media. And again, using that to be very consistent. We are a third-party retail site within many grocery stores, convenience stores. So you can imagine if I've got a gift card mall or a prepaid center in a large grocery store, I'm going to use a lot of traditional media to let the consumer know in and out of the store that those malls are there. So traditional media continues to be a really important part of what we do, supplemented by, most recently, activity within the blogging atmosphere, Facebook, Twitter, and we're looking at some of the other venues that you already mentioned. So we had to communicate the awareness, to build the awareness of the product. The thing is, that only takes you so far. It's one way. It's telling them where to go. What we were missing was that two-way communication. And, you know, back in my old days at Clorox, I remember I'd get a big stack of paper on my desk once a quarter, and it was my consumer complaints. And, you know, they were 3 months old. And it was this thick. And I was like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if I could get these in a timely fashion so I could really deal with them firsthand, have a dialogue with my consumer, and solve the problem if I can, or at least, to what Brad said, defend the company and defend what we're doing, because in a lot of cases, there's a very good defense, and you want them to hear that. So this idea of going two-way and using online media as well as social and mobile media really kind of hit home a year ago when we said, well, we got to start turning on Twitter and turning on Facebook, and we want to hear from our consumers. You have to be very on top of it, you have to read the blogs, and you have to be ready with your communication. And the other thing that's important is make sure everyone in your company knows what you're doing. Make them fans, make them track you on Twitter, make it really clear that if they participate that they have to identify themselves as an employee of the company, but be consistent in that communication. Have them understand if there's a problem, who they go to help solve that problem. So that's very important, because everybody right now is a reporter. Listen, 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 and listen. I mean, we get blog reports on a daily basis. Look at them, read them, understand what your consumers are saying, and leverage that rapid response capability of social media to help you fix any problems or, again, communicate. So, and be patient. We're still learning. We're learning every day, and then all of a sudden something else comes out like Yelp, and you're like, okay, how do I get in that one? So you're going to have to be flexible, and you're going to have to be patient.
Newspaper advertising, radio, highly effective providing immediate communication and call to action on the way to store. But increasingly, beyond POS signage at the point of sale in store and mall signage at the mall point of sale, communications that are carpeting the base, TV integrations, it's really in the online space and in social media that you can spread the type of message I just articulated. And then, as a result of the true advocacy the consumer associations generated for us, that helped spread the message without and before we even started spending dollars on traditional advertising. And by the way, I should say, we have the largest online e-commerce site to sell open-loop gift cards in the United States. We sell millions of cards each December just online, more than we do